Gonçalo Inacio's agent has held talks with Manchester United about a January move. Garnacho has been chosen as a Kvaratskhelia replacement by Napoli. Rashford is open to listening to Barcelona. Leon flies in to have his medical. All this plus more in today's video of a rundown of all the latest Manchester United news and transfer news that will keep you right up to date with everything. Welcome to Man United Review. My name's Jamie. Before we get into it, smash a like on the video. Let's jump straight into it. So let's kick off with Diego Leon. So pictured yesterday at the airport, flying to Manchester, probably in Manchester or in the UK as we kind of speak, or at the time of recording this video. Remember, the reports were that he was due to fly in Saturday. That's turned out to be true, because there he is with his agent at the airport, kind of confirming that he's coming to Manchester to have his medical. He's going to have a look around and do all of that kind of stuff. We'll probably have his photos. I'd imagine we'll get like the announcement and stuff, and then he's going to fly back in a few days' time to meet up with the Paraguayan team for and then he's still not coming to the summer though. July, I think it is, when he's going to be officially kind of joining the setup. But you know, fantastic bit of business. You know, very highly regarded, very talented, very kind of thought out transfer. Seen as one of the best young left backs around. So really, really good coup from the club. Let's hope we can kind of develop him in the right way, because he does look like a fantastic potential player. So massively excited. I'll give you all the announcements and stuff when they come out as well, and hopefully we'll get some kind of comments and bits and pieces as well. But yeah, really excited that that deal is going to kind of go through. It doesn't help us short term, but hopefully this will be one that we can kind of look back on in a few years and say, God, what a fantastic young player that was, if he can keep developing. Yeah, he looks a really, really promising player. But let me know what you think about that in the comments. Now, over the last few days, there's been loads of noise regarding Kvaratskhelia. We've had swap deals. Man United's name have been thrown in the mix in certain French outlets, but credible sources, Romano and David Ornstein, no mention of United. Obviously, there was more news yesterday I brought you about from L'Equipe about a possible swap with Rashford and stuff. But literally, as I was uploading that video, it was like 98% uploaded. And then Romano done a video saying that the talks, there are no talks between Napoli and Manchester United for an exchange for Kvaratskhelia and Rashford. So all that kind of noise we can put to bed, which we kind of, you know, it is what it is with that. The credible sources, Romano and Ornstein, not mentioning Man United. The other ones kind of saying Man United might be in for the race. Did feel a little bit kind of clickbaity, and putting United's name out there to generate interest. By all accounts, he's going to go to PSG for anybody that's interested. So we can kind of put those rumours and reports to bed, thankfully. One player, though, that has kind of emerged now as a potential, not in a swap deal in any way, but as a possible replacement for Kvaratskhelia from Napoli, is Garnacho. So Antonio Conte has decided he wants Napoli to sign Alejandro Garnacho to replace Khvicha Kvaratskhelia. The price tag is set at £50 million. Napoli sporting director Giovanni Manna is already working to open contacts with Manchester United for Garnacho. Now, that came from an Italian journalist who, being completely truthful with you, I do not know the credibility of. It was posted by some, you know, fairly decent aggregator accounts, but I'm going to say, unless there's loads of kind of more stories that break over the next 24, 48 hours around that, I would say take that story with a pinch of salt, because I do not know the credibility of that source. You know, it would make sense, though. I mean, from a Napoli perspective, you know, Garnacho would actually be a fairly decent replacement. Young, you know, got development in him, would probably fit Antonio Conte's system as well. That kind of counter-attacking sort of system would do well in Italy as well. So actually, you know, from Napoli's perspective, that makes more sense to me than Rashford, because Rashford, you know, I don't see fitting in Antonio Conte's system, because, you know, he wants players to work hard, and we know that Rashford's not a player that wants to work hard on the pitch. Whereas Garnacho, on the other hand, is a bit of a grafter as well, and does like and can do the kind of off-ball work as well. So that would actually, from Napoli's perspective, make a bit of sense to kind of go through. And then obviously we know that we've had reports over the last few days about United you know, not necessarily ruling out selling some of their young players. It was blown a bit out of proportion because David Ornstein explained it very well to say, look, they have no intention of selling Garnacho and Mainu, but with PSR rules, it would make it harder to refuse like a big offer for one of those players because of how much value that adds to the PSR perspective with them being homegrown players. So whether United would have the kind of, you know, the nerve to resist a bid of £50 million for Garnacho from Napoli, if that report is to be believed. But again, I would say take it with a pinch of salt for now. Who knows? I mean, I could see it being plausible, but I would want to wait to see way more credibility than one kind of unknown Italian journalist coming out with that one. I mean, they might be right. They might have an inside scoop. Sometimes that's the way life works. And then the more credible sources do come out after somebody has kind of broken it. Remember Fabrice Hawkins last year broke the Lenny Yoro kind of story, and then a lot of the other kind of mainstream journalists picked up on it. So it can happen. It's not beyond the realms of impossible, but I would want to wait to see way more credibility before kind of judging whether that story is going to be believed or not. Plus the fact Garnacho's starting today against Arsenal as well does kind of, you know, go a little bit against that story as well. But again, there's still a few weeks left in the transfer window. Anything could kind of happen. It would just leave us really kind of short, because I know for some reason Garnacho's gets a little bit of kind of mixed opinion from the comments on previous videos. Personally, I still think he's a young kid that has got plenty of development in him. I've never seen like a 19, 20-year-old that was the finished article as a footballer. They've all made mistakes. They all learn. They all have to kind of develop and learn their game. Yes, Garnacho has been frustrating this season with his selfishness and, you know, his decision-making at times, but he is a really talented player. Like, there's no denying his kind of potential if he can work on those things. It's just a question mark as whether he fits the system or not. Can he develop? Can he become less greedy? Can he become less selfish and more of a kind of team player? And that's something we'll see over the next few weeks, whether Amrim can, you know, kind of get that into him and kind of work on him, because if he can, we've got a fantastic player there with potential. You forget he's only young. There's not a young player in the world that wasn't inconsistent or frustrating when they were 19, 20. Even Ronaldo, when he was at United, was an absolute you know, pain in the ass sometimes to watch when he was that age, because he was just really frustrating, making the wrong decisions, passing when he should shoot and shooting when he should pass, and that just comes with time and learning your kind of trade. So personally, you know, and then the other thing is, if we're getting rid of Rashford and Garnacho, arguably two of our, you know, better forwards, and keeping Anthony in January, that would be just stupid, isn't it? That would be just absolutely stupid. But I do get the benefits of selling Garnacho because of the homegrown kind of profit, and the things that United could do with that money would be huge. So, but let me know what you think about the Garnacho situation in the comments. Would you be okay to sell him for Napoli? To sell him to Napoli for £50 million? Would you want to keep him? Do you think he's worth more or less? Like, let me know what you're feeling about that kind of story in the comments. And one of the other players that we mentioned there is Rashford. So Marcus Rashford is open to hearing from Barcelona. Obviously, the reports were yesterday that brought you around Barcelona entering the race. I do think that his preference would maybe be Barcelona because of the Henry Winter article, who actually did the interview with him when he said that he was looking for a new challenge, did heavily mention a move to Spain. Whether, you know, Barcelona could afford it, who knows? But one of the reasons why they might potentially be able to afford Rashford would be selling Araujo, because there's talk of him going to Juventus, but United have actually been linked with him today as well, coming from Sport, who are a fairly decent Spanish outlet, saying that Manchester United retain an interest in Uruguayan defender Ronald Araujo, who is expected to leave Barcelona. Now, again, that would be, you know, an opportunity for United to maybe do something with Barcelona with Araujo and Rashford. However, he's been out all season with a hamstring injury. He's made one appearance, so a massive red flag there for me for Araujo. Could be an opportunity signing, and sometimes in January, you do have to kind of take opportunities if they arrive. You might go into it thinking, well, we need a left wing back, but then your left wing back is not going to be sold or is going to be too expensive. But then a centre half that you weren't really planning to buy becomes available at the right price that you would maybe go for in the summer. So sometimes you do have to kind of, you know, shift attention in the January transfer window, because it is more about opportunities sometimes. And the selling club, and he would be an opportunity signing, would fit the, you know, fit the bill. 25, one of the best centre-halves around, really good. Amram likes Uruguayan players as well. He mentioned in his press conference yesterday around Ugarte and how he likes the kind of South American attitude and determination and all of that stuff as well. But, you know, clear injury concern, the fact that he's only made one appearance for Barcelona, and the fact that they're happy to kind of let him go for a reduced price, because he's always been believed, the figures when we've been linked with Arahu in the past have always been like 80 million, and now you're talking around 30 million pounds. That does kind of concern me. But is that because of the injury, or is it because Barcelona are just desperate to get money in because of their financial situation? But keep an eye on it for you. Let me know what you think in the comments. Is that a deal that you would be interested in United doing, or do you think we should give that one a hard pass? Let me know. Let me know down below. Stick with Rashford. One of the other teams that are heavily linked with him is AC Milan. Now, Zlatan Ibrahimovic is on the board there, or part of the kind of hierarchy, where he had the following to say on Marcus Rashford. He said, "I don't think I need to convince him, because Milan are one of the biggest clubs in the world and everybody wants to come here. As of today, it's not an easy operation, but we have not spoken to him yet. We'll see if we will speak to him." Obviously, the reports are that his agent has been, his brother and his agent have been doing all the kind of deals and stuff. So Zlatan confirmed he's not yet had direct talks with Rashford, although AC Milan have had talks with his brother and agent. And then he also said, "I know Rashford very well. Played with him when he was young. Now he's a grown up and he has done great things with Manchester United." So Zlatan not kind of ruling out making a move for Marcus. Simon Jones from the Mail said that Borussia Dortmund are keen on signing Rashford. Dortmund will put in a big effort to beat AC Milan and Barcelona. Any deal is likely to focus on who is willing to pay the majority of his salary. So Dortmund, Milan, Barcelona, and Juventus, I think, are the four kind of names I would keep an eye on. There was reports, I didn't bring the two, but there were reports that Arsenal had made a £21 million bid for him. West Ham, Monaco, Como, these sort of teams are not in the race. I think Romano did say in his video, actually, that they would be the four, you know, potentials, and it's just a case of working out what Rashford wants to go, whether what deal we're going to get as well, whether it's going to be a like a Dortmund, like it says there, Dortmund pay a majority of his salary, that might be preferential for United, or Barcelona might make an option to buy with a high fee, and so on and so forth. So it's just kind of working out where we go there, and the fact that he's again not in the matchday squad today says it all about what's kind of going on behind the scenes with Marcus Rashford. But and then finally on that, if Kyle Walker to AC Milan happens, it would end the Italian club's pursuit of Marcus Rashford, as they have only one spot remaining in their squad for a UK player. Now, that came from Sam Lee, who's a reporter for The Athletic, who are a very credible source. He deals a lot with specifically with Man City news, so a decent source, suggesting that if AC Milan go for Kyle Walker, the news was yesterday that he's told Guardiola that he wants to leave Man City as well. AC Milan are linked with Kyle Walker, so that could be a spanner in the works as well. But I'm pretty sure that there are reports that AC Milan are going to be looking to sell Tomori. We were linked with him a few weeks ago, if you remember. So whether or not they would make room in their squad by removing Tomori, who knows? But we'll need to keep an eye on it for you. And I'll bring you any updates if they come up. But let me know what you think about that in the comments. And then, so Araujo's not the only centre-half that we've been linked with. So Borussia Dortmund and Manchester United are currently evaluating signing Gonçalo Inácio in the winter market. Now, that came from a Portuguese report that actually came out yesterday. And then last night, Ebola, who are a fairly decent source, but, you know, you've got to take Portuguese media with a bit of pinch of salt sometimes, where they were saying that Gonçalo Inácio's agent has held talks with Manchester United this week. The club could submit a loan offer with an obligation to buy for €40 million. Man United is considered making a loan offer for Gonçalo Inácio. The club has made its interest and conditions known to the player's agent. Gonçalo Inácio has a €60 million release clause, but Sporting wants at least €40 million to sell him. So that came from Ebola, effectively kind of suggesting that United have held talks with his agent about some sort of loan deal with an obligation to buy for €40 million in the summer, which would be really interesting. I mean, this goes back to what I was saying before about potentially there being opportunities in the market in January where we've always been saying we need a left wing back. If that is Nuno Mendes, the reports are that Nuno Mendes is not going to be leaving PSG this month. Whether that's negotiation tactics or not, there's obviously still a few weeks left in the transfer market, so we'll have to wait and see how that kind of plays out, because it might just be, you know, it could just be negotiation talk, which happens all the time. It could just be made up. We don't know, but there is some credibility about the Mendes kind of links. But if Mendes is not available and your priority was your left back, if an opportunity for somebody that you might be looking at in the summer becomes available, then you could switch attention to that as well. And a loan with an obligation to buy obviously helps us out with PSR rules as well, because if we were looking at Inácio for the summer and you can get him now effectively but still pay for him in the summer, then that makes perfect sense to kind of pursue that sort of deal. Someone did mention this in the comments the other day around players doing like loans with obligations to buy as a way around PSR rules, and it would make sense, and it would be actually quite smart of United to do if they're targets that we're going to be looking at anyway, if the clubs are willing to do that sort of deal in January. Yeah, what do you think about Inácio? Let me know. Let me know what you think in the comments. Do you think he'd be a good fit? I mean, very similar to Martinez, isn't he? Very similar kind of profile. Obviously, can play the system a bit better, but is he... You know, I'd worry. I've not seen him in the Premier League yet, and he's, you know, I don't know. I don't know how I feel about Inácio as the kind of Martinez, that kind of left-sided centre-half. I mean, I suppose he's a bit better at defending the channels than Martinez, but they're very similar profiles. Yeah, I would have a concern about it, I would say, regarding Inácio. But, you know, obviously we'll trust the manager. He's played in his system. He's a player that he knows way better than anybody, so he'll know whether he's ready for the Premier League, or he's a player that can come into the kind of squad to improve the squad as well. Obviously, we do need a rotation option for Martinez as well, because Luke Shaw can't be depended on to be fit. So it does kind of, it is an area that we would probably be looking to strengthen in the summer anyway, especially with Evans going and Lindelof being out of contract, with potentially both of those being out of contract. So we do need to bring in a centre-half in the summer. Whether they're going to potentially do it now, obviously Lindelof's injured, you know, and kind of do a loan with an obligation to buy pushes that down to the road anyway. But one to keep an eye on. I'd want a bit more credibility, though, than the Portuguese outlets that are reporting it. But let me know what you think about that in the comments. Let me know what you think about all the other topics discussed in today's video, because that's you all up to date with the latest Manchester United news and transfer news. Don't forget to smash a like on the video on your way out and subscribe to the channel if you are new. See you in the next one.